Hey everyone, Duke Nukem 3D here,
Hello.
and today we have for you another mashup slash abomination, but this is one that is based on historical precedent, because we have for you today, we don't know what the fuck it's actually called, but we have taken creative liberties and dubbed it the M3A3 117A Army Diaphragm Assault Gas Mask. Okay.
Not Army, Bureau of Mines.
Bureau of Mines, yes.
Because they're the bestest.
Yes. Anywho, this is directly based off of a abomination that resides at the back archive section of the Fort Leonard Wood Chemical Warfare Museum, in which a M3A1 style Army diaphragm facepiece was given a C11 diaphragm angle tube assembly over the plastic M8 style valve, and was upgraded with a interesting Y tube assembly that instead of branching out for a M2 hose, it stuck out to the side with a 60mm thread to accept an M11 combat canister, which we have pictured here. We do not know what the original carrier for this mask would have been, but we are presuming, or just kind of assuming, it used a M7 series carrier, in this case a M7A.
Because we have like a dozen lying around, so.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's really not much else to say about it. It's a very interesting concept that didn't really see much past the drawing board, and the both of us, both me and Moulage, have fully replicated it. He sourced the parts, I did the wiring, he did the Y-tube assembly, and did a pretty decent job on it, I might add. And really, other than that, it just is what it is. Have any comments to make about it?
Yeah, the only other thing I can add to it, really, is on the original, the entire Y-tube was cast iron. I just used copper piping. I made sure, if you're going to do this, make sure to paint the copper really well, because the mask rubber could potentially get copper poisoning, like an issue the M17 series had with their harness buckles. A couple other notes real quick. There is a variant of this where it looks closer to the M8 mask, where the filter's mounted down here. I'm not really interested in building one of those. Ergonomically, this thing is a piece of shit. And as a final note, it should have the C4 head harness?
Yes, the C4 head harness, which is basically like an M7 harness. However, there is the addition of a nape strap going across the back of the neck to help retain the face blank in its original position, to add an extra degree of security of the canister, potentially shaking the mask out of alignment on your face.
It's the same head harness that is used on the M5 and the M8 service masks.
And I presumably was used... No, not presumably. It was used on a lot of the E19 experimental masks for the M9 series, but was not implemented on the M9 as it was finalized.
Because they had the C8.
The C8, which is more or less just a C4, only it uses a M2A1 style fabric head pad, which is rectangular, instead of the triangular vinyl head pad of the M7 or C4. Anyhow, that's not... There's probably more context to be had in the construction of the mask, but before I get into that, I should mention or reference the singular optical insert that is in this mask. These were actually sent to us by Retro Respirators. He sent me a complete pair, where Moulage unfortunately was only able to get one, but it kind of adds character to the mask. It's like a CBRN monocle or something. I don't know, make of it what you will.
It's for precise shots.
Very precise. Anywho, we have the original box that the outsert would have come in.
If you recognize this name, Private John Karkalowski, I'm sorry, dude. I mean, seriously, I don't know, email me or something, I'll give this back. It says fart on here, did you see that?
It does?
Yeah, it says fart. Fart C.
Oh, nice.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
Is that cool or what?
Really
I
good.
love surplus.
Hell yeah. And we remove the canister carefully, because I'm not trying not to fuck up the paint. And I will show you exactly how we got this assembly on there, or showing the assembly in greater detail.
It's a nuisance.
Yeah.
It was a real nuisance.
We'll make a proper cast aluminum one eventually. He said it was cast iron. It's aluminum.
I fucking hate aluminum.
Anywho, getting it off of the head harness, let's get you a closer look at the Y-tube or canister elbow, whatever the fuck this thing would have been designated.
F-tube.
F-tube. If this camera would just focus, that would be amazing. Come on. I know you see it. Let's just look at the canister. Wow, the camera's really being a bitch tonight, isn't it? Wait, it almost had it. Give me 1 second, folks. I do not like bending over like this, so I will go behind the camera and try and get a focus. So, getting a look at the canister elbow assembly, you can see that it is a copper 90-degree elbow, a bit of a hose nip or copper nipple, and then a T-fitting with a short length of copper tubing, which has all been brazed together and painted black. And then this is originally a M11 style filter cap. It's probably like one of the Swedish or the Finnish ones, wasn't it?
I believe so. I want to say it was Swedish.
Yeah, so probably one of the Swedish ones, which has its canister gasket inside, and you can see it's all brazed together and so on and so forth. The thing to note is that it wasn't exactly the actual cap was cut out. There is a large hole cut out, so there's a separate circular plate which interacts with that. Would allow you to rotate this in theory while being independent of the canister symbol, still providing a seal with this gasket.
It's still pretty rough because that's like the first try that I made at it, but it works.
It definitely works. I will definitely improve this later on, but it's a good proof of concept. And the head harness is a C8, actually a C8 style harness, but it originally had a M3A3 harness, but we've replaced it with the C8. Obviously, it doesn't have the nape strap. There really isn't much else to see, but the internals, which aren't much, it's just a M3 style diaphragm facepiece with a C11 angle tube, like what you would see on an M2 optical. Not really much to note other than the optical insert, and yeah, that's really all there is to say on this. If you have any other objections, Moulage?
No, that's really it. It's just kind of, you know, if you can't buy it, you got to build it.
Essentially.
Except for children, don't buy or build. Well, I guess you can build children if you're a woman.
But we don't talk about those.
Yeah, we don't talk about those.
So, that's about it. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, or concerns, they're really not relevant because I'm sure most of you don't know what the fuck this thing is or its origin. So, I guess we'll see you all later.
Bingo.